Hallo Freunde und willkommen zurück zu Let's Play Let's Read Katawa Shoujo. Wir sind im letzten Akt von Emis Route und Emi hat sich uns doch geöffnet, jetzt wohl. Beim letzten Mal gab es eine sehr schöne Szene und ja, beziehungsweise uns, was heißt uns, Hisao. Und sie wollte ihm etwas zeigen. Ja, der neue Morgen hat begonnen und ich denke, Hisao ist genauso aufgeregt wie, ja, vielleicht wir alle. Wir sind gespannt, denke ich mal, wie es jetzt hier ausgeht, wenn es denn ausgeht. Denn wir nähern uns, denke ich mal, so ein wenig dem Ende. Wir haben den letzten Akt. Schauen wir mal, wie es weitergeht. Ja. The morning sun is bright through my open window and the sound of my alarm quickly has me up and about. I slept surprisingly well last night, secure in the knowledge that at least I've got another chance with Amy. If I can just keep myself from doing anything stupid, maybe I'll find out what's been eating her recently. I have a few educated guesses, but nothing concrete, and certainly nothing that I'm going to say to her. I'd much prefer to have her tell me herself. Although I can't help remembering the nurse's warning that I might not like what she has to say. Do I really need to know that badly? What if it's something awful that makes me repulsed by her? Can I really say that I am prepared to handle whatever she has to say, regardless of what it is? Tja, gute Frage. Amy said she wanted to tell me without screwing it up. What the hell did she mean by that? What's there to screw up? I suppose there's not much use worrying about it, though. I'll find out today. It occurs to me that I really need a run this morning, to clear my head if nothing else. Amy is waiting for me as promised, looking a little haggard but otherwise bright and cheerful, much more so than any previous day this week.
Hisao, you're late.
I waved my hand dismissively. Nonsense, you're just early. Amy grins back and it feels like we are finally back where we should be with one another. Except now Amy, not just me, wants to take another step forward. Although a part of me worries that she'll back out at the last second. Na, das könnte natürlich auch sein. Aufpassen ist angesagt.
Hurry up and stretch, Hisao. I don't want to miss the bus.
The bus?
I said I wanted you to come back to my house, remember? And I promised Mum we'd be there in time for lunch, so I wanted to hurry.
Early start, huh?
It's more for my Mum's benefit than anything else.
Oh, well, that's okay. I unsuccessfully tried to guess what Amy has planned, shortly before realizing that it doesn't matter that much to me. I quickly go through my warm-up routine while Amy bounces impatiently from one food to the other. She really does seem to want to get moving as soon as possible. The run is over so quickly I can barely believe that I haven't fallen over dead afterwards. Amy set a blistering pace and I, in my foolishness, kept up with her. Well, until the last few laps I had to slow down just in case. But I don't mind, and Amy's waiting patiently for me when I finish. As patiently as she can wait anyway.
Finished? Good, come on.
Grabbing my arm, she practically rushes me down the nurse's office. Ah, you seem in a hurry, Amy. Trying to catch the early bus?
Yeah, I told Mum I'd be back for lunch.
Well, I'll take care of you first then.
But Hisao's gotta come with me too.
The nurse raises a single eyebrow at this statement and peers at the two of us searchingly. Really? Today, huh? Amy's response is a nod, followed by a surprisingly shy grin. Well then, we make this quick. Amy enters the nurse's office and I patiently wait outside for her to be finished, wondering just why the nurse seemed to be surprised by Amy's declaration. Ja, war auch etwas, was er nicht erwartet hat, was er nicht voraussehen konnte. I feel a I feel like I'm missing out on some joke or the significance of today, beyond the fact that it is clearly significant in some way, of course. True to his word, the nurse has Amy out of his office surprisingly quickly, and I take her place after promising to meet up at the front gate. The nurse takes my pulse and listens for a bit. Ah, your heart beats faster than usual. Been pushing yourself again, have you? Well, Amy seemed in a rush to get through the run, so... I'm not surprised. Today is rather important to her, you know. I suspect that could be the case, but I have no idea why that's the case. She hasn't told you? Interesting. So you're not going to tell me either then? No, I'm not. I suspect that Amy has her own plan for explaining today to you, and I don't want to mess with that. You'll find out soon enough, so what's the rush? Now, as for your heart, I would take it easy the rest of the day. No spontaneous races or anything like that, got it? Got it. She won't have her running legs on anyway, right? No, but if you think something like that is going to stop her... good point. I don't think it'll be much of an issue today, or of all days, but still. If he's trying to reassure me, he's doing a terrible job. I'm quickly becoming more and more worried about what today could be for, like suddenly finding out Amy's in a cult or something. Ich glaube, das wird wohl nicht passieren. At the same time, if today is such a big deal and Amy wants me to be with her for it, then maybe she really does want to grow closer to me. Maybe this will be the answer to all the riddles, to the sleepless nights and the sudden mood swings. Either way, I barely remember to thank the nurse before taking off as quickly as I dare from my room, to get a shower and throw on some decent-looking clothes. If today is as important as it seems to be, I should dress appropriately. Amy of course proves me wrong as soon as I reach the front gate, wearing her usual shirt and shorts. So at least I know it's not a terribly formal affair, whatever it is.
You're early, Hiso.
Not as early as you. Eager, are we? Amy cheekily pokes out her tongue.
The bus stop isn't very crowded at this hour, which seems to...
Oh, sorry. Falsche Stimme, jetzt habe ich... Okay. The bus stop isn't very crowded at this hour, which seems to please Amy, and we end up relaxing a little as we wait. We sit in silence for a while, but I can tell that Amy's trying to work herself up to say something. I don't have anything to say myself, so I sit waiting for her to talk. It doesn't take too long.
So, I'm sure you're curious as to why the nurse thought it was so weird for me to be bringing you along today.
I was a bit, yes, but if you're not ready to tell me... Amy stops my sentence by placing a finger on my lips.
Don't tempt me, Hiso. I want to tell you this, but I'm just uncertain as to how to go about it. I don't want to keep delaying or deferring. I just want to be able to say it.
So, say it.
You know that it's not going to be that easy for me, Hiso.
So, treat it like running. Warm up to it with something small and easy, and go from there. But don't do it too fast, okay? I'm a patient man. I can wait for you to get to it. Das waren, glaube ich, sehr gute Worte. Amy seems to consider my words, weighing them against what is probably a desire to get it over with. I will admit, as much as I keep telling Amy to take her time, I wouldn't mind her getting it over with either. Yeah. But somehow I know that Amy probably needs more time than the bus ride will provide to get it all out, whatever it is.
Yeah, maybe you're right. The bus stop probably isn't the best place for this anyway. But just to make sure that I don't go back on my word, I'll at least say this.
She takes a deep breath, lets it out, and after a moment says in a low voice,
We are going to see my dad today.
The words hang in the air, and I can see that Amy's afraid that I panic and disappear in response, which a part of me almost wants to do. but it would be stupid of me to back out or to suddenly abandon the promise I made to be there for Amy when she needs me. The nurse thought it was so weird of her to bring me along. She doesn't bring anyone along, or at least I'm willing to bet that she hasn't before today. Ich frage euch wirklich mal, das könnt ihr mir hinterher mal schreiben, wer von euch weiß jetzt schon, worum es geht. Weil es ist eigentlich sowas von offensichtlich. The day seems to take on an even greater significance. What has it taken Amy to even get this far? Ah, and why is that the best I can manage as a response?
Yeah.
I don't know what I should say.
Nothing. I think just promise that you're going to come with me.
Of course, you know I will. Amy smiles wanly, looking a little relieved.
Good. In that case, we'd better get going.
The bus pulls up just a little after she finishes the sentence. Vague memories of my first trip out here come to mind as I step off the bus, but unfortunately they are too vague to be of any use. I will be the first to admit that I don't quite recall how to get to Amy's house, so I let her lead the way. She seems content to walk in silence, and I myself have no idea what I could possibly say, so the two of us arrive at her house, having said nothing since getting off the bus. Amy's mother opens the door and doesn't seem surprised to see me standing next to her daughter. I expect that Amy would have phoned ahead to let her mother know of the change in plans.
Amy, Hiso, you're just in time. Lunch is just about ready. Great, I was afraid we might be running late.
As fast as you were going this morning, I doubt there was much of a chance of that.
I certainly hope she wasn't too much of a bother, Hiso. She tends to get a little paranoid about being on time when food's involved.
I hadn't noticed. This earns me a swat on the arm from Amy, who, despite the serious nature of our conversation on the bus and the almost brooding quiet walk, has quickly become cheerful again. Probably to keep her mother from worrying about whatever it is Amy plans to tell me later. Mrs. Ibarasaki ushers us in, and in short order we are around the table devouring lunch. I hadn't realized how hungry I was until I got here, but for once I seem to be eating almost as much as Amy.
Goodness, it's a good thing I made so much. The two of you are acting like you haven't eaten in days.
I skipped breakfast this morning.
Me too. Had to catch the bus, I assume? That, and I figured you'd make too much food, so it wouldn't matter if I skipped breakfast. Well, it's good to know that I'm predictable.
Amy nods enthusiastically, and the conversation falls off again as we very nearly clear the table of anything edible. It is a testament to the sheer amount of food on offer that we don't finish everything. I lean back in my chair with a sigh and thank Mrs. Ibarasaki for the food.
I'm glad you liked it, Hiso. Now, has Amy told you where we're going?
Yeah, sort of. Is it far from here?
Not really, but we'll drive there to save time. It closes kind of early.
I nod an assent and stand up ready to go. Well then, shall we? Mrs. Ibarasaki nods and leaves the room to grab her keys. Amy, I notice, has started to fidget nervously. Second thoughts? Amy smiles tightly at me and shrugs. She's fallen silent again, which probably means that I'm right and she is starting to regret bringing me along. Not that I blame her. She's done such a good job of shutting me out that I doubt it's easy to suddenly open up. Honestly, I'm worried that she's forcing it. But she said while waiting for the bus that I'm not supposed to give her a chance to back out, and since I promised to go with her anyway, I suppose there's not much of a choice. I can't go back on my promise and she can't back on hers. Hm. Ja, das ist ganz genau das, sag ich mal, wie es aussieht. Die Sache ist beschlossen und jetzt gibt es kein Zurück mehr. I just hope the both of us are up to it. We are off. Amy's mother blows through the dining room, collects the two of us and heads out the door at a brisk pace. Now I know where her daughter gets it from. The car pulls up at the cemetery gates and I feel Amy tense up beside me. I reach over and give her hand a comforting squeeze, which causes her to relax a little. Ja, ein Friedhof. Ich denke mal, das haben sich die meisten von euch sicherlich schon gedacht. Amy's mother doesn't follow us, explaining that she prefers to visit the grave alone. Amy steps through the gates and looks back as if to make sure I'm still there. We step into the cemetery. I don't feel comfortable in cemeteries. Gravestones littered to the ground, each one serving as a reminder that someone used to be alive and is no longer. How many died young? How many were as old as I am now? When do I wind up with a marker of my own? How much longer do I have left? Ja, das sind so Fragen, die man sich vielleicht nicht unbedingt stellen sollte. The concept of not waking up, not seeing Amy anymore, is not a happy one. It frightens me, and I very nearly turn around and exit right then and there. I don't want to go among dead people. I don't want to see their stones and think about who they are, who they were, or what they could have been if they'd only had more time. Then I look at the girl next to me and my resolve returns. Amy striding purposefully down the path, eyes clear, setting a pace that's very nearly a jog. The sooner we get there, I suspect she sings, the better.
We are here.
A gravestone wholly unremarkable in everything, except for the name etched upon it. The grass has grown up around the base. Amy's eyes are riveted to the stone. After a few moments she turns around, looking surprisingly calm, yet solemn.
Pink's not actually my favorite color, you know.
What?
I'm warming up to it.
Ah.
People tend to think that pink's my favorite color. I think it's because I like strawberries, and even though those are red, they just assume that pink's the right color for strawberries. And that's my favorite color, but it's not. I'm too polite to tell anyone otherwise, of course. And it's not the kind of thing worth getting worried about. But I'll bet even you thought pink was my favorite color. Blue, that's my favorite color. My mom and dad are the only two who know that, and now you do too.
Okay, ich denke mal, das wird nicht das Einzige sein, was sie uns sagen will, dass ihre Lieblingsfarbe eigentlich blau ist. Ah, thanks for telling me, I think.
You're welcome.
There's a pause as she considers what to say next, drawing a quick breath.
I can't carry a tune to save my life. I can hum, but actually singing a song is something I've never been able to do. I don't mind because I'm not a fan of karaoke anyway.
Well, that's one potential date idea out the window. Yeah.
People all think that I'm a really popular and friendly person, but I only have a few close friends. Probably because I keep everyone in the dark, but I think it's also because I hate the idea of losing a close friend.
Ja, das ist, glaube ich, genau das, was wir mittlerweile schon mitbekommen haben. Jemanden zu verlieren, der einem nahe steht, ist immer eine sehr, sehr traurige Sache. Und wenn man da Erfahrungen schon gemacht hat, sag ich mal, dann hat man da noch wesentlich mehr Angst vor.
There aren't many people worth the risk. I'm terrible at saying goodbye. I sometimes think that I only run Because it's what I used to do with my father. You are not my first boyfriend. I dated a guy for a long while during my second year at Yamaku, but in the end we broke up because I didn't want to get closer to him. He couldn't live with that distance between us.
Der hat also genau das gleiche durchgemacht wie Hisao. Aber Hisao hat es jetzt anscheinend geschafft. Her rate of speaking increases slightly, as if she's rushing towards a finish line.
I'm actually 1 year older than you. Everybody thinks I'm younger because I'm short, but I had to skip 1 school year because of my accident. They initially thought I was paralyzed when they pulled me out of the wreckage. I'd lost my legs already, but they were afraid that I wouldn't be able to use what was left of them. After surgery, it was clear that their initial assessment was mistaken. I couldn't feel my legs because of shock, short-term paralysis due to the other trauma I'd experienced. My recovery was one of the fastest they'd ever seen, or so they told me. I never found out if they were serious about that, or if they told that to all the patients learning to walk again.
Ich denke mal nicht. She pauses, gathering herself for one last effort. Oh, Amy, du schaffst es.
8 years ago today I lost my legs, and I lost my father as well. He died on the way to the hospital. I didn't even get to go to the gravesite until 2 months later, and couldn't attend his funeral.
Oh, das ist nicht schön. I'm so sorry.
Don't be. That's what everyone always says, that they are sorry. I hate hearing that. Like anyone could have done anything to change what happened.
Das ist richtig.
You know the best piece of advice I got? These things happen. I don't even remember who said it, but I guess they didn't have anything better to say. But it's true, you know. These things happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. They aren't necessarily planned, and they aren't always bad, and they aren't always good, but they are. So I made the decision that I would live without worrying about the future. And to be sure that I never had to say goodbye again, I decided I wouldn't let people get close to me anymore. After all, they could be taken away at any time. And you know that?
She laughs a little bitterly. Her eyes start to well up with tears, and I step forward to embrace her, but she holds up a hand to stop me.
I'm not finished.
A deep breath, and she continues.
It worked pretty well until I met you and saw that you were trying to adjust to stuff here. So I thought I'd help, and then you were so nice, and I couldn't help it.
The tears are flowing now, and she accepts the embrace this time. The rest of her sentence is mumbled into my chest.
I tried not to fall for you, but I did. And then I tried to keep on at a distance, like with my first boyfriend, but I couldn't. But I've been so scared because I don't want to lose you, and I might anyway.
Hey, I'm still around, right? And maybe I won't be forever, but don't you think it'll be fun while it lasts? Neither of us could survive the day. There could be a bus crash or something. But so long as I know that I've been with you, I don't think it matters. A sudden thought strikes me and I can't help laughing. My condition had me scared of dying so badly that I immediately seized on the opportunity Amy presented to improve my odds of living longer. But without Amy, would there have been any motivation to keep up with my running? It hits me that Amy is the reason I want to go running every day, so I can spend as much time with her as possible. Amy looks up at me, confused. We'll, well, go on living until we stop. And when we stop living, we'll be able to know that at least we've had time together. And I wouldn't have it any other way. Because I love you, Amy, and right now that's enough for me. Amy smiles through her tears and steps back from me.
You know, it's funny.
What is?
I thought that the best way to live in the moment was to do it alone. But now I don't think I'd have it any other way either. I'm glad I met you, Hiso.
Well, these things happen. Amy and I stay by the grave for a while as Amy pays her respects to her father. When she's ready to go, we exit the graveyard side by side. Amy's mother drives us back to Yamaku. The trip back is very quiet. We wave goodbye as the car drives off and I glance down at the girl leaning on my arm. How are you feeling? Amy shrugs non-committally.
I'll be fine. Come on, let's go.
We pause outside the girls' dorm and I turn to face Amy, ready to say goodbye.
Why don't you come up for a while?
Okay. The walk up to her room is in silence. I'm not sure why I supposed I'd be turned away at the door. I guess I just assumed she'd want to be alone. Her mum, the nurse, hell, everyone who knew the significance of today seemed to think it's best to leave Amy alone. But she took me into the graveyard with her. She told me the whole story of what happened on the day she lost her legs. She wanted me around. The significance of this does not escape me. Amy opens the door and steps into her room, not even bothering to invite me in, holding the door for me expectantly. I step in and the door swings shut behind me.
Hey, can I ask you a favor?
Sure, can't guarantee I'll do it, but... Amy giggles and pulls me into a kiss that starts out soft, but deepens into something almost desperate.
Stay with me, please.
Her voice has dropped to a whisper. The question is barely audible over the sound of my own breathing. There's something about the way that she asks that question, the hesitancy in it, the quiet voice, that makes me think she doesn't mean tonight. No, she means exactly what she said. Stay with me. Not tonight or forever. Because both of us know there's no such thing as forever. There's no time limit to her request. There's just the request. The favor. Can I do that? Can I stay with her? Of course. We embrace again, Amy guiding me towards her bed, stepping backwards with care until she sits down on the edge. She's gotten my shirt off by this point, and I've similarly lifted hers over her head, bra and all. Her shorts come off just as quickly. With practice ease, she removes her legs and pulls me onto the side of the bed with her, my hand coming around her smooth shoulder. I cast my gaze over her face, down her neck, following the line to the swell of her breasts, before I lower my hand, planting kisses across her chest, listening to her breath hitch as her hand slides farther and farther down my chest. As I work my way back up to her neck, I can feel her hands working at my belt, now fumbling slightly with the buckle, now unbuttoning, now unzipping, until my pants fall to the floor. Her panties are noticeably darkened in the right place, showing that my earlier administrations have produced some results. I step back quickly, unshuck my boxers and move back in as Amy reaches over into a drawer on her nightstand, removing a small foil package. Tjo. Was jetzt passieren wird, wissen wir alle. Dennoch werde ich an dieser Stelle den Part beenden und noch mal ein wenig dazu sagen. Also wie wir jetzt hier mitbekommen haben, ja, Amys Vater ist am selben Tag gestorben, wie sie den Unfall hatte, der sie hat ihre Beine verlieren lassen. Und ja, weil sie nie wieder jemand so nahestehendes verlieren wollte, wollte sie halt niemanden mehr an sich ranlassen. Aber Hisao hat es geschafft, was ihr erster Freund nicht geschafft hat, diese Barriere, die sie sich selbst auferlegt hat, zu durchbrechen. Das ist eigentlich eine sehr nachvollziehbare Geschichte und auch eine sehr tragische Geschichte, denke ich. Ja, ich denke mal, wir kommen einem sehr guten Ende wahrscheinlich jetzt entgegen. Ich weiß gar nicht mehr, eine Entscheidung müsste eigentlich noch zu machen sein. Hatte ich zumindest so in Erinnerung, aber vielleicht auch nicht. Ich weiß es jetzt nicht mehr wirklich. Auf jeden Fall, denke ich mal, beenden wir diesen Part für heute. Mit dieser sehr guten Entwicklung. Und beim nächsten Mal hören wir uns und sehen uns dann wieder. Also sehen wir Hisao wieder beim nächsten Mal mit Let's Play Let's Read Katawa Shoujo. Bis dahin, Freunde, macht es gut. Ciao, sagt euch euer Dreamy.